Horror Planet, aka INSEMINOID, 1981, directed by Norman J. Warren.
Then it will strike. Not just to kill, but to do something far, far worse. Soon she's going to be a mother. And there might not be anyone left alive to witness the event.
Greetings, fiends. Today we're uncovering the naked truth behind the scenes of the 1981 sci-fi horror film Horror Planet, aka INSEMINOID, directed by Norman Warren and starring Robin Clarke, Judy Geeson, Jennifer Ashley, and Stephanie Beacham. Horror Planet plot. A crew of interplanetary archaeologists is threatened when an alien creature impregnates one of their members, causing her to turn homicidal and murder them one by one. Horror Planet on location. The bulk of the movie was filmed in the Chislehurst Caves in the United Kingdom to enhance production value. But resetting lights and moving cameras around the natural rock formations proved to be problematic and time-consuming. Chislehurst Caves are a series of intersecting man-made tunnels and caverns covering some 22 miles in Chislehurst in the London borough of Bromley. From the mid-13th to the early 19th centuries, the caves were created from the mining of flint and lime-burning chalk. Fast times on Horror Planet. The screenplay for Horror Planet was apparently written in 4 days by Nick and Gloria Malley, because while director Norman J. Warren had financial backers, he had no script to show them, and he needed one fast. Speaking of quick, Horror Planet was shot in just 4 weeks. Cutting corners. The Horror Planet story was originally supposed to take place aboard a spaceship, but they changed the location to Chislehurst Caves to avoid having to employ elaborate special effects. Originally, Norman J. Warren wanted orchestral sound, but because of the lack of budget, John Scott suggested electronic synthesizers. Another alien ripoff? Director Norman J. Warren said in an interview that the movie wasn't an attempt to copy Alien. In fact, he and writers Nick and Gloria Malley hadn't even seen Alien when they started pre-production. The Malleys came up with the idea for INSEMINOID as a showcase for Nick's special effects expertise. Warren said they finally went to see Alien and were genuinely very surprised at the similarity to the script they were about to shoot. He said they were even more surprised when Fox Studios wrote them asking to see INSEMINOID when it was finished. Warren screened it for them later, and Fox themselves decided it wasn't a ripoff. Fox even sent them a very nice letter saying they were happy for them to go ahead, wished them luck, and that they thought the film was very good considering its budget. Nervous nudity. According to director Norman J. Warren, Judy Geeson was nervous about shooting her full nude scene. Normally, actresses would have time to hang out on the set in a robe to prepare themselves mentally before undressing, but due to their incredibly tight schedule, Warren said they were trying to shoot several scenes that day, so they had very little time. Also, scenes involving nudity are usually shot on a closed set with a small crew. But because they were in such a rush to set up Geeson's scene, they needed several crew, all men, to do it. So when she showed up on set, men were moving everywhere. Warren then pointed at her and said, "Hi, Judy, take off your robe and get on the exam table." She looked startled, but to her credit, she quickly pulled off her robe and did what he said. She had to lie there stark naked as the crew bustled about her, setting up the lighting and camera. As soon as they were finished filming one angle, they moved to another angle and set up to shoot it. In all, she had to lie on the table naked for over 2 hours. As soon as they finished, Warren handed her her robe, and everyone rushed off to another set. Later, Geeson told Warren the rushed scenario actually helped her, because she hadn't had time to be nervous about her nudity. Aside from the initial stage jitters, Norman J. Warren said Judy Geeson was an absolute dream to work with, even under the conditions, limited production timeline, and having to perform nude. He said, "She was just so enthusiastic, involved in the whole production. I don't think she had more than 2 or 3 days off the entire schedule, and even on those days, she insisted on turning up, simply because she didn't want to miss anything that was happening." Look at the size of that monster. Revealed in the tie-in novelization of the film, not shown in the film itself, the INSEMINOID is well hung, ×2. Quote, "After a moment, all eyes of the crew were fixed onto another part of the creature's anatomy. Between its legs hung 2-foot-long rods. No one needed to ask what their function might be. Men's primary reason for going into space is to get laid. If he had been asked why he became a space archaeologist, sex would have come first on the list, adventure second, and scientific motivation a lowly third. But then again, no one asked. Carl is a sucker for fair-skinned blondes, especially ones with big breasts. And that was Sandy. Her smile? God, he loved her smile. But Sandy has a wandering eye for Ricky. Even Sandy found herself admiring his bulging forearms and solid thighs. Not to mention a certain other bulging part of his anatomy. As much as she tried to be professional, she was still very much a woman. Also, women of the future still struggle to be taken seriously in the workplace, especially if they have firm breasts and a shapely ass. She was determined to be strong and professional, especially so because she had always been typecast as the dumb, helpless blonde. Unquote. Graphic birth, monster outrage. Norman J. Warren said some people misunderstood the insemination sequence, where there's a sort of plastic tube that's going into Judy Geeson. People got the mainstream impression that it's the alien's penis. Warren said it was artificial insemination equipment, and they shot that sequence very impressionistically, to be like a dream, because they knew if they shot it straight, it would have played like an attack scene and been cut out. So it has this sort of abstract quality to it that the censors didn't mind, but it confused part of the audience. Some women's groups were outraged by the graphic alien birth scene. Director Warren said that the scene really tapped into a very primal fear that pregnant women may give birth to a monster. The group started letter campaigns to get theaters to stop showing the movie. All that did was build interest among potential moviegoers, which led to increased ticket sales. According to the director, some of the more graphic shots of Sandy's labor were removed to ensure that the film would not get rejected by the British Board of Film Censors. Uppity actors. Norman J. Warren said Robin Clarke is the only actor who ever made him lose his temper on set because he was so difficult to work with. He said they were under ridiculous time constraints to shoot several scenes every day. Yet Clarke would delay shooting for each of his scenes, talking continuously about how he should perform his dialogue or move a certain way. Warren said he's never been a director who screams and shouts at everyone because he doesn't believe it ever produces a result and it's just anti-productive. But one day, while Warren was working out a fight scene with the actors, Clarke kept interrupting him by ranting and raving about his ideas, to the point where Warren couldn't take it anymore. So he screamed at Clarke to shut up and keep quiet. Clarke was so shocked, he just stopped dead, and from that point on, he hardly said a word. I hope you enjoyed this video on Horror Planet, aka INSEMINOID, and as always, please like and subscribe. Thank you.